So the purpose of the Wilderness Warrior Program is to introduce warriors basically to the U.S. Forest Service and our forests and the resources that it has, and in order for them to give back and continue to serve. We all raised our right hand and served our country, and serving in a capacity is something that we all do and have done and want to continue doing. So the real nuts and bolts of this is to try to find warriors that are interested in working in the outdoors, working in the wilderness, want to give back, want to continue to serve, want to make it better for the next generation so that they can pass it on. And if there's an opportunity for them to have employment and give back. This program wouldn't exist without sponsors. This program wouldn't exist without the Bridger-Teton National Forest and Wilderness. This program wouldn't exist without the Black Rock Ranger District and all of the people that work there that support this program, that host us when we come out there, that train us when we go out there, that equip us to go out there, give their treasure, their talent, and their time in order to make sure that we're trained, equipped, and ready to go out and to do a service project and give back to our country. And that all wouldn't be done or possible without the Black Rock Ranger District and its employees there.
We're right here in northwest Wyoming along Black Rock Creek and the Buffalo Fork River, right at the base of Togety Pass and the Teton Wilderness area. The Bridger-Teton National Forest itself is 3.4 million acres. So it extends from the Continental Divide going west from Yellowstone National Park south all the way to Kemmerer, Wyoming. We're a really important home to significant wildlife populations in the lower 48 states. So some of the more notable animals, of course, are the grizzly bear, the black bear, mountain lion, wolverine, elk, moose, mule deer, pronghorn antelope, and bison, to name a few. 450 miles of trail in the wilderness. A really important part of what we do here at Black Rock is maintain access to the wilderness. And that's all done with traditional tools. So when I say that, I mean crosscut, two-person saws, hand saws, double bit axes, traditional tools to cut trees out that have blocked the trail and to dig drainage structures to maintain that. All of it's done by hand. We don't use chainsaws, any sort of motorized vehicles. And a huge part of how we get around is with our horse and mule pack strings.
One of the things that's really unique about the Black Rock Ranger District is the Mustang program. So that's really no other horse programs in the U.S. Forest Service use Mustangs. So, Jack goes up and gets them out of a herd in Oregon. And so he's taking wild horses off of government land, bringing them to Black Rock, training them, teaching them, and helping people be successful with, I guess, natural resources, really, is kind of how you look at it. And that's what's the full circle part of it. And it takes a unique person like a Jack to be able to do that.
I spent most of my life a horseback, riding or training or working for ranchers, and that's what I did for most of my life. If I trained someone to ride, I actually trained him how I trained the horse. And we just start them out in a 60-foot round pen, and we'll just start from the basics, teach them how to handle a horse, how to catch them, how to handle them from the ground, how to get on them, how to bit them up, how to walk them through the steps just from the beginning all the way through. And then you're just going to make the little steps into big steps, and before you know it, they'll be laughing and smiling. And the more they learn to control the horse, the more comfortable they're going to be. My job basically is to make the horses successful and the humans successful.
When I got there and I actually saw the horses and knew that I was actually going to have to get on one of these beasts and ride it, I got pretty intimidated. By the end of it all, I actually ended up missing that horse. I didn't want to leave that horse. That horse was a part of me, by the end of this thing.
You always learn something. You can learn something from everybody. And it was a very amazing experience for me to meet somebody like Jack. It was one of the best experiences of my life, and I plan to go back every year. It was absolutely amazing.
The best introduction to the crosscut saw training is Tyler coaching.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
mean, that guy is absolutely amazing. The knowledge that he has, and more than the knowledge that he has, it's his passion to teach. And he's got this unique ability to have you out there sweating, pulling a saw, swinging an axe, and having fun doing
Making it fun.
and
That's what I was gonna say.
learning it. And he does it right along with you, shoulder to shoulder. And he teaches, you know, that training is really important so that you can be safe. Because at the end of the day, we really are clearing trails for, as Todd Stiles said, our forest. You know, it's not the U.S. Forest Service forest; it's ours, it's yours, mine, everybody's, and have access to it.
Think about how primitive these tools are. And think about all the men who came before us, and that's all they had. And that's what they had to use to clear all those trails and all those roads that are out there. That's all they had, you know, and it was like going back to the 1800s, you know, and it was just cool.
And one thing to mention too is that the training that we go through with Tyler, everybody gets a certification. So you guys are actually certified bee sawyers for falling and bucking.
Right.
So you actually get the card and the certification. And the horsemanship and the packing part of this experience, this program is to me one of the coolest parts of it, because it's having the right tools, it's having the right equipment, it's being prepared just like we were in the military. And in order to have the right gear and equipment, you've got to get it out there, and you have to pack up your stuff in panniers. There's soft panniers that can carry loose gear, which is your hobbles and your pickets, and you know, all of your camp gear. You've got the bear-proof, bear-resistant panniers that we have to put our food in to get out there and keep the bears trained so that they don't come into camp. And each one of those has a different way of being tied on the animal that can transport this gear and equipment. And it's heavy when you add it all to the end of the day. It was a Turpin Meadow Trailhead is where we started from, and we went up the Soda Fork Trail, which goes up to Crater Lake. We had 15 miles or 17 miles from Turpin Meadows all the way to Crater Lake that we moved every tree, you know, both with crosscut saws and the katanas and teamwork, and horses too.
Mm-hmm.
Clay hooked up a couple horses and pulled some big stuff off the trail with ropes. So it worked out really well, and nobody believed that we would clear that much either. You can really get the feeling at some points and sometimes when you get off of the trails that you're the first person to ever be there or see that. Now, we know we're not because of all the history,
Right.
but there's not many places in the world that you can go still, especially in our country, and feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
And feel like, wow, this hasn't been touched by man ever.
Right.
And this is, you know, the way it's always been, and in the wilderness areas will always be. And I get to do that with you guys. And that's what, you know, the aspens and the trees and the waters and the forests and the open and the animals are really cool. But there's kind of two spiritual things that happen with me out there. Before this program went, you guys didn't know about crosscut saws. You may have read about them or saw them in books. You didn't realize that there were Mustangs.
Cracker Barrel.
Yeah,
Saw
they're
'em at
hanging on the
Cracker
wall in
Barrel.
Cracker Barrel. But you didn't realize that there were wild Mustangs that were trained to take gear and equipment and out and do things the old-fashioned way. If it wasn't for this program, it wouldn't introduce people in this part of the country to some of the different occupational opportunities there are within the U.S. Forest Service in the West, whether it's weeds, whether it's amphibian studies, whether it's forestry.
I was touched by this program more than I thought I would have been. I really was. I mean, coming into it, you know, I was like, yeah, I'm going to learn how to ride a horse. I cut some trees, you know. But in the end, I was really, really moved, you know, by the whole thing. And I'd say it has changed me. a little bit, and in some ways. And also give me a chance to kind of get out there and clear my head a little bit, which is kind of, to me, is another part of this program. We're combat veterans, and being out in that wilderness, for me, helps without all the, the day-to-day chaos that we have to deal with. Just being out there, it's just the animals and the breeze. That helped me a lot.
So my name is Jonathan Anderson. I'm a veteran. I was in the Army from 2007 to 2013. I deployed to Iraq from April 2009 to February 2010. After my military service, I started attending Clemson, and the first year I was there, I heard about this awesome trip to Wyoming. Before learning about this program, I really didn't have an idea as to what I wanted to do with my forestry degree. So after finishing my degree, I get to work for the U.S. Forest Service.
Going out there is not for the weak. You have to work. It's tough. You go out for 5 days, with these guys and camaraderie. It was, for me, it was amazing. There's nothing like sitting around a fire waiting for supper and some of the spaghetti gets spilt on accident. You get mad for a second because you're hungry, but it happens. You laugh about it now, and
you dumped out all the spaghetti trying to drain the water. It was Jamie's turn to cook, and he was draining the water, and somebody said, well, do you need any? I think I said, do you need any help with that? And you said, no, I got it. And you poured all the spaghetti on the ground.
I have 3 kids, a wife. I missed the whole time I was down there. It's tough, especially with that. I wanted to talk to my kids. I couldn't talk to them for 5 days. At the same time, it's kind of relaxing. You wait, you sit down and, around the fire at night, eat supper, talk, tell stories, and then you get up the next morning, you got to go back freaking cutting trees again.
Yep, back to work.
Sweating, elevation, it was tough. But like I said, at the same time, it was fun as heck, and I'd love to do it again.
One of the things, too, that it seems that I've noticed every year is it's kind of mission-driven.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody in their right mind wants to just go out and work and cut trees and do all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But once you start doing it, you feel you kind of enjoy doing it. There's complex problems that you have to solve, and nobody thought we'd cleared all the way to the lake, so it kind of became a mission. We're gonna do this, and doing that together and working together. And one of the other things that I think is really cool about this is that we all identified our strengths and our weaknesses, and we all used those, and we used those to create a team that accomplished something really good. So one of the things that I think is really important is sustaining this program, and in order to sustain this program, we've got to continue to have sponsors that help. And there's been a few people. It costs about $5,000 a year to send the 3 of us, or 3 like warriors, out there from soup to nuts, everything. And what we're trying to do over time is slowly purchase equipment in order to sustain this program. So there's always going to be a need for sponsors to help pay for plane tickets so you guys can fly out there, help to get the gear and equipment out there. It's not a big lift, but we need support. I need support. The hospital, donates my time, but there's no monetary involvement in that. Upstate Warrior Solution, they sponsor the program as well as they can, but if it wasn't for outside individuals that have believed in sending guys like you out there to experience this, it would be very difficult. I would love to take more than 2 people. I would love to have some back-to-back trips. In order for that to happen, there needs to be a little bit larger support within the community to help pull that along. We're serving our country by improving our national forests and our wilderness areas, and we're building a team to do it with, and doing it with camaraderie and fellowship and the spiritual area of it. If I was to say the essence of this program in one word, it would be service, continued service.
I'm Clay, and I'm a Marine veteran, and I'm a Sawyer.
I'm Jamie, and I'm a U.S. Army retired veteran, and I'm a Sawyer.